This is Rick DiPietro.
Rick DiPietro wants Johnson here. I don't know how much of that was initiated by DiPietro, but DiPietro and Johnson. And Johnson put Rick down quickly, and with all of Rick's...
It back down low.
The New York Islanders are picking Rick DiPietro, a goaltender from Boston University, as the number 1 pick.
Go over the tape.
Well, there you have it. History in the making, announced by Sanjay Kumar, one of the 2 new owners of the New York Islanders.
The New York Islanders have selected
Rick DiPietro from...
Rick DiPietro's name often stirs passionate debates among hockey fans. Was he truly the biggest draft bust in NHL history, or is that label an oversimplification? Let's take a closer look. Born on September 19, 1981 in Lewiston, Maine, Rick DiPietro moved to Winthrop, Massachusetts at the age of 10. Like many future NHL stars, he honed his skills in youth leagues, catching the eye of scouts with his talent. His potential began to shine at St. Sebastian's School, where he became one of the top goaltending prospects in the country. DiPietro's performances earned him a spot at Boston University, an NCAA hockey powerhouse. In his single season with the Terriers, he racked up numerous accolades, including being named Hockey East Rookie of the Year. One standout moment was his heroic performance in a quadruple overtime game against St. Lawrence University, where he made 77 saves on 80 shots. This display of talent and endurance had NHL scouts taking notice. In the 2000 NHL Draft, the New York Islanders made history by selecting DiPietro first overall, making him only the second goaltender ever picked first after Michel Ploss in 1968. General manager Mike Milbury was so confident in DiPietro's abilities that he traded away Roberto Luongo to clear the path for the young netminder. The expectations were sky high, and DiPietro's confidence was evident, sometimes bordering on arrogance. DiPietro's rookie season was challenging. He pulled his groin in his first practice, missed preseason games, and struggled in his NHL debut against the Buffalo Sabres. In 20 games that season, he managed just 3 wins with a .878 save percentage and a 3.49 goals against average. However, it's important to note that DiPietro was just 19 years old, thrust into the starting role on a struggling Islanders team that finished last in the league. The following season saw DiPietro bouncing between the NHL and the AHL as he worked to refine his game. He showed improvements in the minors, leading the Bridgeport Sound Tigers to the AHL Finals in the 2001-2002 season. By the 2003-2004 season, DiPietro started to find his footing in the NHL, posting a respectable .911 save percentage with 5 shutouts. The 2005-06 season saw DiPietro take a light step back statistically, but he was clearly establishing himself as the Islanders' go-to goalie. The 06-07 season was arguably his best, with a .919 save percentage and a 2.58 goals against average, earning him 8th place in the Vezina Trophy voting. The Islanders, impressed with his performance, signed him to a historic 15-year, $67.5 million contract in September 2006. The reaction to DiPietro's contract was mixed. While some saw it as a bold move to secure a promising young goalie, others were skeptical of committing to a player who hadn't yet consistently proven himself as an elite NHL starter. Unfortunately, soon after signing the contract, DiPietro's career took a turn for the worse due to a string of injuries. In March 2007, he suffered the first of many concussions, causing him to miss the remainder of the season. Over the next few seasons, DiPietro battled through hip injuries, knee problems, and more concussions. He showed flashes of brilliance when healthy, even making the All-Star team in 2008, but those moments became increasingly rare. Ironically, it was during the skills competition at the All-Star game where DiPietro re-aggravated his hip injury, effectively ending his season. The injuries continued to pile up. In 2008, he had surgery on both his hip and his knee. He started the 2008-09 season mostly watching from the bench, and after just a handful of games, he was back on injured reserve. By November, he had undergone yet another knee surgery. This pattern continued year after year, with DiPietro unable to stay healthy for any significant stretch of time. One of the most memorable and unfortunate moments of DiPietro's career came in February 2011. In a game against the Pittsburgh Penguins, DiPietro got into a goalie fight with Brent Johnson. Johnson knocked him out with one punch, breaking DiPietro's jaw and sidelining him for weeks. This moment seemed to encapsulate the frustration and bad luck that had come to define his career. By the 2012-2013 season, DiPietro's NHL career was effectively over. He played just 3 games that year before being waived by the Islanders and sent to their AHL affiliate. His first game back in the AHL was a disaster, allowing 5 goals in the first period alone. In July 2013, the Islanders used a compliance buyout to end DiPietro's contract. Under the terms of the buyout, the Islanders will continue to pay DiPietro $1.5 million annually until 2029, a lasting reminder of the contract that didn't pay out. So, was Rick DiPietro truly a bust? It's a complicated question. His raw numbers, 130 wins in 318 NHL games, with a .902 save percentage and a 2.87 goals against average, aren't terrible. But they certainly don't scream first overall pick. However, it's crucial to consider the context. DiPietro's career was absolutely decimated by injuries. It's hard not to wonder what might have been if he'd stayed healthy. In his best seasons, he showed the potential to be a top-tier NHL goalie. Some argue that DiPietro single-handedly carried the Islanders to playoff contention when he was at his best. They point out how athletic he was in the net, often playing behind one of the worst defensive lines in the league at the time. Supporters of DiPietro argue that fans are quick to forget how talented he was when healthy. They contend that he was a one-man show behind a subpar defensive core, and that his athleticism and puck-handling skills were great for the position at the time. Some even believe that without the injuries, DiPietro could have developed into one of the top 5 goalies in the league during his prime. But I'd love to know what you think in the comments down below. His massive contract certainly amplified the scrutiny around DiPietro. With that kind of contract, every mistake is magnified. It's possible that without the weight of that deal, DiPietro's career might have been viewed more sympathetically. The contract became a lightning rod for criticism, overshadowing his actual on-ice performance. But what do you think? Was he legitimately one of the worst busts of all time? Or was he just really unlucky with injuries, and then on top of that, judged harshly because of that outrageous contract hanging over his head? Let me know in the comments. What's also interesting is that DiPietro's story has had a lasting impact on how NHL teams approach drafting and signing goalies. Teams became more cautious about selecting goalies high in the draft, and extremely long-term contracts like DiPietro's fell out of favor. In fact, the NHL later implemented rules to limit contract length, partly in response to deals like DiPietro's. After his NHL career ended, DiPietro found success in broadcasting, co-hosting a radio show on ESPN, New York, and working as an NHL analyst. It's clear that despite the ups and downs of his playing career, DiPietro's love for the game hasn't diminished. It's good that he's been able to leverage his experiences and knowledge of the game into a successful post-playing career. In the end, Rick DiPietro's story is one of unfulfilled potential and what-ifs. Was he the worst draft bust ever? Probably not. His peak performance was solid, and injuries, more than a lack of talent, derailed his career. But the combination of being picked first overall, the blockbuster contract, and the way his career unfolded have, if nothing else, made him a cautionary tale. Perhaps the fairest way to view DiPietro's career is as a reminder of the unpredictable nature of sports. No matter how promising a young player looks, there aren't any guarantees in professional athletics. Injuries, bad luck, circumstances beyond a player's control can all play a role in shaping their career. But what of DiPietro's legacy then? Well, it's complex. On the one hand, he's often cited as an example of the risks of drafting goalies high and giving out long-term contracts. On the other hand, his story highlights the cruel role that injuries can play in an athlete's career. It's a sobering reminder that even the most talented players can see their dreams derailed by factors outside of their control. But what do you think? Was Rick DiPietro a bust, or just a victim of bad luck and unrealistic expectations? Again, throw your opinion in the comments down below. It's a debate that's likely to continue among hockey fans for years. One thing's for sure though, DiPietro's career serves as a fascinating case study in the risks and rewards of betting big on young talent in the NHL. Don't forget that behind every statistic and contract figure is a real person who devoted their life to the sport. Whatever you think of DiPietro's career, there's no denying he's had an impact on NHL history. And who knows? Maybe his story will shape the next generation of hockey players and executives, making his legacy more significant than any save percentage or contract value could ever be. In the end, his story is a reminder of the highs and lows of sports, the fine line between greatness and disappointment, and the unpredictable nature of an athlete's journey. Speaking of the Islanders, check out our other video about Mike Bossy by clicking right here, or check out this video about Alexander Barkov. Hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of my upcoming hockey videos. See you in the next one.